This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. We're all with JP Acosta of CBS Sports. A ton of great conversation to have here. We talk about quarterbacks. We talk about what the Browns have on their roster. What about the rest of this draft class, right? I think we're at the point to where you're starting to form where we are. There's going to be some wild jumps in the board, right? Like I think Membu was like the biggest jump of the board last year where it was like, oh, you could probably get him in the second round. And then like he ends up being a top 10 pick. So who do you see anybody who fits that, hey, once people start to get to know this guy, he's going to jump way more than where people have him projected right now. Is there anybody in this class you feel that way about?
Amari Washington, defensive tackle from Oregon. I know everybody's sort of infatuated with Peter Woods and what he did in 2024. Caleb Banks is entering this draft class. Amari Washington might be the best player in the draft, and not in the draft class, but best defensive tackle in this draft class. It's jarring how physical and how powerful his hands are. Like he plays with a sense of violence and urgency in the run game that like he is putting guys on their butts in the run game. I think he's expanding his repertoire as a pass rusher. I think he has moments of like just running people over in pass rush, but he is going to be a guy that's going to quickly rise up the draft board. I also think potentially I'm curious on whether Jake Golday, linebacker from Cincinnati, ends up rising up draft boards a lot. He's 6'5", 240, do a lot of things. Worry a little bit about his play in the box because, again, if you're a 6'5" off-ball linebacker, you're giving up a lot of chest. Mm-hmm. So, but I think his versatility, his athleticism, I think he's going to come up the boards real fast.
All right. What about a wide receiver? When we look at the top of this class, I think it's an interesting wide receiver class because there's a lot of guys that you like. I don't know if there's a lot of guys you would feel comfortable taking like in the top 8 of the draft and feel like you're going to get top 8 production from them. But like, what do you make of like Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson might be one of those guys who falls because I think I've heard his medicals aren't that good or potentially not that good.
So Jordan Tyson's medicals will be an issue. He had a nagging hamstring injury. He's had nagging injuries throughout his career, but I think the body control, the fluidity, I think that's still going to keep him in the top 10. I love Mekhi Lemon. He is a
so fun, man.
Professional wide receiver. He's not super big. He's not super athletic. I think he'll probably run in the 4.5s, but the dude just knows how to play football. He's great after the catch. I think he's got a wide catch radius despite not being the biggest guy, and he is real physical over the middle of the field. So you think about teams that, like the Jets with their second first-round pick, that is where Mekhi Lemon really begins to like his range starts to me. I think Casey Concepcion at Texas Tech, or not Texas Tech, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M would be really fun. I think he's awesome with the ball in his hands, and he's really grown this season. He's his drop rate has literally dropped. It's gone down. He's flashed more as an actual receiver. Those are some guys I'm really interested in. I love Chris Bell from Louisville. Still expanding his repertoire, gotten better against press as the season gone on, tore his ACL, but he's 6'2", 220, probably going to run 4.4s. So, like, I think he is going to also rise really high.
Yeah, the Mekhi Lemon thing is just so interesting to me because I'm like, you watch USC and it's just so obvious that guy's a playmaker, right? Like, he's just constantly making wild plays throughout the game. And I think that's an underrated element with the wide receivers. Like, hey, this guy just make plays at the end of the day. It's getting the ball to him, making that a priority. Does that pay off most of the time you do it? And I think you've asked Lincoln Riley and especially, who's the quarterback there? Not Miller Moss, Jordan Maiava, who would just force the ball to Mekhi in some ridiculous situations. Just like, hey, he might do something, right? I think that there's something there. Do you think that Mekhi Lemon has the potential? Like, what tier of wide receiver do you think a fair expectation of him to become if you draft Mekhi Lemon?
I think you're looking for like a realistic expectation is to be like immediately he can be your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. And with I think when we look at what Emeka Ibuka was for the Bucks in this early portion of the year before Mike Evans got hurt, I think that's something Mekhi Lemon can be. I think he can be a really good complementary receiver if you already have like the guy. I think if you have a guy like again with the Jets, Garrett Wilson, I think he's a really good complement for Garrett Wilson. If you're a team like I guess like the Broncos, who have Cortland Sutton already. I think that's where he starts to fit in a lot better. So I think realistically, he's probably going to max out at maybe like wide receiver 1B or wide receiver 2
Mm.
on a team. But he can help you. He can help a passing offense right away.
Do you think there's a wide receiver 1 in this class?
I think there are maybe a couple. I think Carnell Tate can be. I think it got overshadowed because Jeremiah Smith is obviously like
Mm.
incredible, but I think he can be a wide receiver 1. Jordan Tyson's also a guy I think could be a wide receiver 1 depending on how his health shakes out. And then outside of that, I think there's just going to be a lot of really good wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s. I think Chris Bell has a chance to because, again, size, speed, emerging route runner. I think he can run routes a little better, but the ACL injury also makes things a little bit cloudy. Denzel Boston at Washington doesn't really have the straight line speed or the separation skills, but when the ball is in the air, he's going to go get it. So you could probably see him morphing into a wide receiver 1. But outside of the top 2, I really think everybody else is going to max out as like really good receivers, but not like wide receiver 1s.
Okay. Let's talk about the offensive line class. The offensive line classes have not been fun to talk about the last few years because like they're very rarely like it's usually like conversations like, oh, tackle to guard to tackle, like, but because of I don't know what's been happening in college football, it just doesn't feel like we're getting the same level of athlete at the offensive line position anymore. It feels like that's been a very tough area to be able to build over the last couple of years, given what the talent pool has been. So there are guys at the top of this class. Then there are guys who you have to think about as like interest, like Caleb Proctor is an interesting one, right? Because he was somebody who people were like, oh, that's going to be the number 1 guy in this class. And he's not even close to that conversation right now, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Caden Proctor is a guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of like how I think the NFL views him. I don't think he has the quickness to stick and tackle. I also think Francis Magnoa in Miami also might be better as a guard. It's crazy because we keep saying with this tackle class, the top 3 names might all be better at guard with Fano, Proctor, Magnoa, which leads you to the top true tackle maybe being Caleb Lomu from Utah. I think he's going to be really good, but again, super young. I think he's incredibly athletic. Really struggled with Texas Tech this year and struggled with power, so that sort of worries you a little bit. Monroe Freeling from Georgia is somebody I've had my eye on during this late college football season process. Really athletic, easy mover, might need more reps. But when you're 6'7", 315 pounds and move the way that he does, he's going to quickly fly up draft boards. Max Iheanacho from Arizona State is going to be flying up boards at true tackle spots. But again, these are guys that might be like, hey, maybe towards the end of round 1 or maybe in the middle of round 1, not top 10 and not like top 5. So you don't really have those like automatic plug and play tackles this year. You got to do a little bit of projection, but there are some nice tackles in this class. I think, of course, the strength of the class is at guard.
It's kind of like last year's class because I always remember you were hearing a lot of guys at the top of it where you're like, I think they're probably better at guard last year too, right?
Yeah, like I thought most of the guys would end up being guards and not tackles.
Yeah, I think they ended up playing Will Campbell at left tackle, right?
Yeah,
and he was a great contributor to the Myles Garrett sack record. He needs to go on a podcast this summer and talk about that. Like, he gave up 5 to Myles.
Well, he wasn't the only one. He was getting everybody.
I think he got like 3 or 4 off on Will though. I think like the healthy amount.
Real welcome to the NFL moment.
You imagine that? Just like, okay, it's not gonna. How many sacks can he really get?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
like you give up that second sack, you're like, he's got to be done.
yeah.
No, no, he gets three more. He has three more there. That was. I wonder what Drake May was feeling.
Like help.
like, you wonder what it's like to be Drake May there. Like, when Miles retires, we're probably going to get more people talking about this, but like, I need the documentary to have all these guys in it where I'm like, I need to hear these stories of it. Because whenever you get to hear retired offensive linemen talk about blocking him, it's always a good time, but that's like a different version of the Miles that we're seeing now. And I'm like, no, I want Trent Williams when he retires. Yeah, give him on podcast, ask about Miles
Oh
immediately.
yeah.
Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code Worst Take. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. So when it comes to offensive line class, is it one where you feel like you said you're going to want to pick a little bit later?
I think for tackle, yes. For guard, it depends on how much you value guards. But if you need one, I mean, the highest was Quentin Nelson. I don't think there's a Quentin Nelson caliber guard in this class though. So I think around like middle of the first round, towards the end of the first into the day two, is where I'd start picking the linemen. But of course, with everybody needing offensive linemen, they're gonna get picked a lot earlier than you think.
Okay, if I am the new Browns head coach and I go to UJP and I'm like, I need violent offensive linemen. I need physical guys. I could deal with some downsides in other areas, but I want ass kickers. I want guys who be physical in the run game. Who are gonna win a push pile. I want those kind of guys. Who are you recommending to me?
First off, Francis Magnoa. Like he is in a phone booth, he is a professional boxer. He gets his hands on you, you're going down. I think Caden Proctor is also the same way in the run game. Vega Ioane from Penn State, not very great laterally, but when he's moving forward, when he's moving at you, he's got really strong hands, really physical. Um, I think those are the top three that I would think of when it comes to just physicality, when it comes to power and getting and moving guys from point A to point B. Problem is they are also all guards, so
Mm-hmm.
then you're back in the same spot where you used to be. Um, I also think Monroe Freeling, like I said, tackle at Georgia, has a little bit of that nasty to him. Coming from Georgia, you got to if you're going to start for them. But those are the four that I'd name off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like there's any like tone setters?
Um, I think Magnoa, with the way that
Magnolia.
he has led that, he is sort of their leader on offense. He is that physical, like tone setter. So if you're looking for somebody to reset like a culture on the offensive line, I think Magnoa is going to be a great pick.
Yeah, because I'm tired of seeing the Browns have like number one in runs ended behind the line of scrimmage. I'm like, just give me somebody who can whip some ass so we can get 5 fucking yards on first down. Like, if that's at guard, then that's at guard. But we need to whip some more ass. Is there any free agents that you feel like would be available to have that kind of potential to? Obviously when you're looking at free agent tackle, you're not going to get like a peak ass kicker. But do you feel like there's people who can kind of, you tell them to be violent in this role, they can thrive in a specialized role like that?
I mean, it's tough because like the offensive lineman class this year, again, a little bit of projection
Mm-hmm.
because you're hoping that like maybe Rob Havenstein could be something once again. Um, I think Linderbaum also sort of feels like that tone setter, ass kicker up front. Although he's had a pretty rough year this season. Um, Outside of that, you're not really like maybe Elijah Vera Tucker, but he's also dealt with injuries. So that's sort of where you're at when it comes to physicality on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Braden Smith out at in Indianapolis, but it's a tough year to need offensive line help.
Yeah. Yeah. So you tell me it's a tough year for offensive line help. It's a tough year for wide receiver one. It's a tough year for quarterback. Hey, Browns fans, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Look, if you can just get a whole bunch of like wide receiver twos, maybe you can get some guards in there. You can turn this around and be ready for Jeremiah Smith next year.
You're not getting Jeremiah Smith if you turn it around though this year.
Like, you can at least be like if even if you don't get Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman would be fun.
Where did Jamar go? 4?
Jamar went 4, yeah.
Yeah, but right after
Kyle he went
Pitts?
5. He went 5. Pitts went 4.
You know how good you got to be for you to go 5? And I'm like, damn, that was late. Like,
yeah, like Devontae Smith went 12.
Yeah, it's crazy. They traded back. They got an extra first.
Yeah,
this is why I appreciate some people when they're like, you could beat the Eagles, but when people tell me that you could beat the Eagles, I'm like, the amount of luck that went into the Eagles being like they trade back, they get a first for moving back from 6. It wasn't even like a pick where you would expect the extra first. You're like, oh, they got an extra first from Miami. Miami ends up being bad, and then you somehow like what Jalen Carter does end up doing crime. That allows you to get Jalen Carter. And then every year, like an early first round prospect just falls to Philadelphia at like 31. And people are like, yeah, you could just do that. Get Jalen Hurts. Like everything that went into Philadelphia being Philadelphia is highly improbable. Like is the most improbable that you got to bet on the Giants just giving up on Saquon.
Like, sure, man.
Like the amount of stuff that fell into Philadelphia's lap to become Philadelphia, you cannot count on that. Like, I know the Jets are trying to do the whole Philadelphia thing, but dude,
they're trying to do the Detroit thing.
Yeah, with just a bunch of picks.
But again, you got to hit on those picks.
Yeah. It's a better strategy than trying to be Philly because, like, Philly's like, we got to hit on picks, sure.
And you also have to draft a quarterback in the second round.
Yeah, you got to draft. And that's the thing with the Detroit build. It's like, is somebody going to just gift you Jared Goff for free and give you an extra first for your troubles because you're giving them Matt Stafford? Like, do you have the ability to do? Without that, the whole build doesn't happen. Like, they're playing Hendon Hooker, and Dan Campbell's probably fired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's so many ways of trying to build a team, but I'm like, if you can't get an answer at quarterback, you're going to build a really nice job for somebody else to inherit and try to solve the quarterback problem. Like that's just kind of going to be, it's like a headless monster, like you got to have the head before you can have anything else. But yeah. Anything else you want to add to this, JP?
No, I think we covered pretty much it.
What do you think is the most probable way to build a team to get to like a level of championship contention? Like if you were to look at it as like, okay, I got to do something practical and probable, but you are starting from basically where the Browns are. Like
if it's me in the modern NFL, build out the offensive line and widen that margin for error up front with the offensive line. Then get your quarterback behind it. I think a lot of where the NFL is going when it comes to running the football, being physical up front, I think using play action passing, like I think a lot of where the modern NFL is going lends more towards physicality up front because a lot of defenses aren't prepared for it. So I would lean into just get your offensive line to be one of the best units in football.
Do you think you can create the stability necessary to make having that good offensive line be able to give you that higher floor for your quarterback play while building like that? Because I've watched like the Browns. We had Joe Thomas, Mitchell Schwartz, Alex Mack, John Greco, like a great offensive line in like 2014, from like 2010 really to like 2015. The issue with that run was you're always firing coaches, you're always firing GMs because the success wasn't there. So every quarterback you bring in there, it's part of a new 5-year plan, and you never really get that real thought out, hey, we're going to take this guy, we're going to develop him, and work them through the program, it's always, well, we're going to throw Deshaun Kaiser back there and we're going to throw somebody else there. And the offensive line's good. They should be okay. I think, do you think that is plausible in today's NFL to create the success necessary to build that way and trust that you're going to have some stability there? That's my big concern with it.
I think building out throughout the offensive line, I think you have to have that stability when it comes to your front office and your head coach being united. And that's where you always worry with firing GM, hiring head coach, keeping GM. You can't repeat that cycle. So if everybody's in lockstep, again, I think about Detroit. And Detroit was one of the best teams in football before their offensive line broke down. So I think building out that offensive line, I think having that stability is going to allow you to do different things. Of course, everybody can look to Philadelphia, but again, I think that's sort of unrealistic because they hit on Jalen Hurts in the second round. But if you're able to get that offensive line,
they signed their left tackle out of rugby.
Yeah, they it is so entirely
build of all time.
It is you cannot explain Lane Johnson playing at a Hall of Fame level as long as he has, or Jordan Mailata becoming one of the 10 best left tackles in football, or Landon Dickerson becoming one of the 5 best left guards in football, or replacing Jason Kelsey with Cam Jurgens. So I think building out the offensive line is going to be the best method, but I also think it does require some look, there might be some lean years, but you have to believe in what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball.
Do you think the Browns coming off of 8 wins in 2 years realistically are going to be able to have that kind of a commitment? Do you think, because if they had just started sucking, if they had come off the 11-win season, they had a bunch of contracts up, guys were old, hey, we got to rebuild, I think they would have the grace to be able to build like that. But after 2 years of being bad, I don't know if you can do it for and have a lean 2 more years.
But I also think that's sort of what you have to do when Deshaun Watson is still on the team. That contract is still on the books. Because, if you want to point to the Broncos got rid of the Russ contract and turned it around with drafting the quarterback, they also didn't have to add much to the offensive line. Quinn Miners was already there. Garrett Bowles was already there. They went out and signed Mike McGlinchey to a big deal. You continue to add to that offensive line. But I think as long as that contract is on the books, you're sort of hamstrung with everything you can do and everything you can be.
Yeah. There's no easy button here.
No.
There is not an easy button here for the Browns. I will concede to that. I am worried. I am very worried about this offseason. There is a lot of potential for stuff to go really, really wrong here. And that's saying something, because last year I thought there was a lot of potential for stuff to go wrong. You could have lost Myles Garrett. One day we'll have a quarterback. It will be good. Okay. I gotta remind myself that it can't last forever, right?
Yeah, it won't last forever.
It can't forever, right?
Trust me, it won't last forever.
Hopefully it don't last for much longer. Okay, I don't want to be 60 being like, yeah, finally, but yeah, it's Andrew Berry gonna earn whether he should have stayed or not this offseason. I'll give him that. He gonna earn it. If he dig himself out of this shit, boy, whew, he got the job for the next 10 years.
Hey, if you dig yourself out of this, you deserve that job.
Does he win executive of the year if he digs him? If the Browns win 11 games, does he get the same kind of treatment that Kevin did, where people are like, I can't believe Kevin won 11 games out of all that bullshit?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he gets executive of the year off of that.
If they're able to sidestep the Deshaun contract and go back to the playoffs, I would give if this Browns team next year makes the playoffs, I would put Myles Garrett in a gold jacket immediately.
He could play with the gold jacket on.
He'll be the first active player to be in the Hall of Fame.
If they make the playoffs and Deshaun Watson is the emergency quarterback in a playoff game, I think everybody gets extensions. Man.
Oh yeah, lifetime extensions.
You're winning executive of the year, coach of the year, and like your coach is winning comeback player of the year. Like something ridiculous. Somebody's winning comeback player of the year if that happens, right? Like
yeah, somebody has to.
Somebody has to. It'd be just like 2023. Yeah, it's a tough spot. I'll give Andrew this. I thought he did much better in the tough spot he had last year than I thought he was going to do. So, that gives me some confidence that they figure this one out. But I don't think anybody envies him. This is a rough hand to be dealt. We'll see what they're able to do with it. And then meanwhile, we can see JP at the time of his fucking life right now, just having a good ass time. Well, we about to play in the playoffs. We might beat the Bills. Enjoy yourself, having a good time.